Finally, we are back with some UFC action. We have UFC Paris, Renato Moicano versus Benoit Saint Denis. A lot of good investment opportunities on this card, particularly in the main card. But we'll start off with some prelim picks here for you, just to start off the card.
All right, bonjour everyone. That's all I got for you.
Croissant.
Croissant. C'est bon. That's all we got. Benoit Saint Denis.
Je m'appelle Jackson.
All right, Chris Duncan. Why is he sticking out for you here?
All right, so I like this one just because, like, this is more from like a fight profile perspective rather than a value perspective. Because Chris Duncan is the underdog in most markets. You're not really getting a much better value on PredictionStrike than other places. This is just an underdog I wanted to point out here. He's going up against Balaji Oki, who's currently on a 9-fight win streak. Chris Duncan is coming off a submission loss to Manuel Torres. And Balaji is a pretty good-sized favorite here. I think in other markets, Chris Duncan's around like 1.5 to 1 underdog, a little bit over that. And Balaji, busy striker, good jab, powerful, very explosive, decent combos in his striking, pretty good takedown defense. Definitely tends to fade as fights go on, but he's like really powerful, so he can stay dangerous throughout the whole fight. And Chris Duncan is a super tough guy. He's definitely never out of a fight. Accurate striker, likes to bang it out in the pocket, sometimes fights with his hands low, which is why he eats so many shots. But like I said, he has a really good chin. Decent grappler too, 10 takedowns in 5 fights. Control isn't really much of anything though. Top control on the ground. Honestly looked good in his submission loss to Manuel Torres on the feet. Just kind of really, he started to wrestle out of nowhere when he was winning the striking exchanges. Just a low IQ move ultimately led to the loss, submission loss versus Manuel Torres. And I like Chris Duncan here. Just tough, durable. I think he's going to stay in Balaji's face the whole time, which Balaji tends to struggle with, and just sit behind that jab. And, you know, he fades into fights. Chris is super athletic. He doesn't. Yeah, I'm going to go with Chris Duncan here, taking a swing on the dog.
Well,
That's dope.
Bro, what is this man? He looks... Victor, walk me through it.
Okay. All right, so honestly...
Right. Let me finish that sentence before it gets turned into... Like, he looks like the guy from A Bug's Life. That's the first thing that I saw.
The grasshopper cricket thing?
No, the ant that's just walking around. Like, that's what he looks like. He's built like an ant.
Like an exoskeleton, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like if, like, one of these days I'm just going to run into one of these guys and one of them's going to watch this for some reason.
I heard what you said.
I heard what you said. Cock!
I heard you said that looked like an ant.
From A Bug's Life.
Yeah.
Anyways, walk us through. Why should we be fascinated about Victor here?
I'm honestly not huge on any of the value outside of that Chris Duncan fight, but I always do 2 prelim picks here. I think Victor Altamirano is the best choice just from a straight up value perspective, not like a super high confidence pick, but he's $2.40 on the app. Daniel Barres, his opponent, $2.77. And Daniel really liked the pace he sets, good boxer, good BJJ, decent takedowns when he needs them, doesn't rely on them at all though. He sometimes loses top position because he chases subs when he's on the ground, which is not a good thing. He's coming off a full year layoff too, which we know affects boxers, and he's mostly a boxer more so than it does wrestlers and grapplers. And Altamirano is very powerful on the feet, also patient, waits for his shots, good striking differential, okay takedown defense at 63%, but very slippery. He has good get-up game. He's coming off a close loss to Felipe Dos Santos, had 9 offensive takedowns in that one. So I think he looks good there. And I honestly think he should be able to wrestle whenever he wants to against a guy like Daniel Barres, even though Daniel has good BJJ. I don't think, Daniel is usually able to rely on his BJJ a lot more than he's going to be able to here against a really skilled guy on the ground like Altamirano. I will say Barres is a much better striker. He's a really clean boxer. Basically had Jafel Steelho down and out like a few times in their last fight. really even fight. So I think we're just getting good value here because it's basically a pick 'em in other markets. I like Altamirano by a little bit.
And isn't Salvador and Lacerda actually like good names in the UFC as well?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I say. I will say it looks like a pretty good resume as well. So we will see how he does it.
No, yeah, I don't really. He looked good too in the fight against Felipe Dos Santos, I would say.
I mean, it's good that like he lost by a decision and split. Like that's positive. I feel like because it's like he didn't get finished, you know, like
totally.
But moving forward,
and another thing, Daniel Barres, while he is a clean boxer, he has a negative striking differential, which is kind of concerning. And you can see that Victor, while he's kind of more of a wrestler, has a far better striking differential than him. So
love to see that. Love to see that. All right. So Ziam versus Favola. Steamroller Favola. All right. Looking for a Conor McGregor pinch a penny version. We got him right here. And then we've got Ziam. The only reason I'm saying that, Favola, love the person, but like, come on, what else are you going for with this look? Like, I can't tell like, what else you're going for.
Yeah, it's crazy. Definitely not a glow up. Minus 10,000 aura buff for Matt Favola going into this one. But we got Perez at 330, Favola at 403. Love Matt, met him before, super cool guy. The steamroller. And yeah, taking on Perez. Matt is 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off a knockout loss to the main event fighter, Benoit Saint Denis. Can't blame him there. Benoit's a freak. And Ziam is a rangy striker, kind of a points dancer, likes to plot around and control range, does it pretty successfully too. He works well in the clinch, usually manages range with leg kicks, moves in and out of the clinch, very, very technical, just like avoids risks no matter what. His last fight was a win over Claudia Puelles. He had good striking pressure in that one, which is why he earned the decision win, got taken down a couple times though. Favola is kind of like the exact opposite profile of Perez Ziam. He's pretty much always just coming in hot, looking to throw bombs, shoot takedowns right away. Definitely a killer be killed guy. Big shots, averages 3 takedowns a fight, low accuracy, but has 14 takedowns in 10 fights. He doesn't use wrestling all the time, which is something I don't like about Favola's game. Like, I wish I could rely on him to wrestle more because he is, I think, a pretty skilled wrestler. Puts him in good positions a lot of the time in his fights. And against BSD, he did wrestle in that one, but we saw what BSD did to him when he tried to do that. I think that's just like a completely different skill level than.
There's a reason why BSD is the title of this card.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, there is a world in where Perez avoids chaos, is able to touch and go on him pretty well, make it a boring decision. I think this is a good matchup for the underdog Favola, though. I mean, I guess he's not an underdog on PS, but in most markets he is. I don't
arbitrage opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I don't think Perez is going to be able to hurt him by any stretch of the imagination. And Favola is a guy who, you know, poses danger all the time. He should be able to get those takedowns against a guy like Ziam, who has just, you know, mids takedown defense. Matt has an underrated gas tank, in my opinion. I'm going with Favola inside the distance.
I like the PS value here on Ziam.
Yeah.
I mean, this feels like an opponent that is reckless, and that's the kind of opponent that I feel like Ziam has a lot of success against, just kind of outpointing them and staying away from risk. I think in order for Favola to win, it's going to have to be inside the distance. Like you said, he's going to have to catch him with something and then kind of turn this into a scrap, which is something that Ziam tries to avoid at all costs, it seems. So I think if he can fight his game plan and kind of just try to outpoint this one and make it boring, this feels like you're getting good value on PS. But if Favola does get inside and land a few, this could kind of turn on its head quickly.
This could be our one, Grant.
It could be.
Anyways, moving on.
Does loser have to get Favola's haircut?
That's a tough fate.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that.
All right, we got a movie villain versus Morgan here. So what are we doing?
He does look like a movie villain.
Like, you can't tell me this guy wasn't made for a 1940s film. I won't say what kind, but like, That's the look I'm getting.
Maybe as one of the bad guys in Inglourious Bastards.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like,
dude wasted those looks on grappling.
Yeah, like I love the stash though. Like tier 1 mustache.
Definitely
tier 1. But all right, break it down for us without me being an idiot here. What should we actually be paying attention to between these two fighters here?
So I would say most people know Morgan Charrier a bit better than they know Gabriel Miranda. Morgan is 4-1 in his last 5, coming off a loss to Chepe Mariscal that some people thought was a little bit controversial. And Gabriel's coming off a year-long layoff. Morgan, really explosive striker, light on his feet, good movement, good takedown offense and defense, powerful on the feet, good cardio, just pretty much good everywhere. Really good fighter in my opinion. Miranda, really good grappler. That's pretty much his bread and butter. Decent takedowns. Definitely just a BJJ guy. Chills out in guard. Looks for sweeps. Is on his back for a lot of the fight. And kind of just like throws nonsense at you before shooting a takedown on the feet. Super one-dimensional, but he is very, 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 very good at grappling. He is coming off a submission win over Shane Young, and he subbed that dude in less than a minute. I think Gabriel could absolutely win by sub here, and the odds in most markets are way too far gone for Morgan. So if you're on the Morgan side of things, 100% come to PredictionStrike to make your wagers or investments rather, because the odds are too far gone in the books, I think, for Morgan. I do think he wins this fight. Miranda's not a bum, though. Certainly shouldn't be that big of an underdog. He has good takedowns. Accuracy is low, but he's like such a problem once it hits the ground. So Morgan is the pick cautiously. Invest in him on PredictionStrike.
I know. All right.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry, I was trying to read the tattoos. All right. Moving on to the next one, we got Kevin Yoset versus Brian Battle. If I remember correctly, this Brian Battle guy is supposed to low-key be like a prospect.
He's a dog, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I could be wrong on that, but walk us through this one. I don't have anything fun to say about this one. Outside this guy's arms looked absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I like Yoset's face.
There. Just
yeah. So I'm pretty positive, Grant, if you could verify that these prices kind of loosely reflect.
Yeah, they do. Battle's like a
odds.
pretty decently slight favorite. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and Jusei Air is undefeated in the UFC. 5-0 in his last 5, coming off a win over Song Kinan. Battle 3-1-1 in his last 5. Eye poke, no contest with Angeloso was his last fight. And
he was cooking in that last fight, though.
Oh yeah, no, he was absolutely cooking. He looked super good. Was like beating the hell out of Angelosa.
Yeah.
And Kevin Jusei, definitely mostly a striker, kind of fights with his hands low. Sometimes he's a bit more low volume, but in his last fight with Song Kinan, we saw him really pick up that pace. I think he had like 134 significant strikes, which is like completely different than what we'd seen from Jusei in the past. So we'll see if he maintains that higher volume. When he closes the distance on you, he looks to get you against the cage, get you down to the ground. He's big for this division and very strong. So he can size bully you a little bit in a lot of instances, depending on the opponent. He's coming off like I said, high volume win over Song Kinan, going up against Brian Battle, who, like I also said, is a dog. Always pressuring. Always pressuring, always moving. Good ground game. And just one of those guys that like we see improving with every fight. Ange was getting absolutely whooped in his last fight before the eye poke. And Brian Battle is good on the feet, good on the ground. Cardio is good. Fakhretdinov gave up a ton of control time against him. And I think Battle is like really starting to come into his own here. My issue is Jusei is a super clean striker. He has 100% takedown defense, And he's just one of those guys that, like, I think he's the more cleaner, more technical. I know he's the more cleaner, more technical boxer of the two. His jabs that he's so good at sitting behind, his calf kicks, his leg kicks, he just absolutely pieces you up throughout the course of a fight. And I think if he can show high volume striking like he did versus Song Kanan, he is so strong and has such good takedown defense that it's going to be really hard for Battle to get him to the ground. Jusei's a judoka, so he can just toss you around, toss you right off of him. So I am going with the underdog here, Kevin Jusei.
All right. Well, moving on to the next one.
Wait, what, Grant?
That
what
feels like probably the fight of the card for me, at least. It feels like a close one. I was definitely in on the battle side of things, but I wasn't super hip to Jusei's game. So I will probably have to reconsider some things after your opinion. But initially, I was definitely leaning battle for kind of similar reasons to Wells. I like the prospect here, and the price still isn't anything crazy. So I feel like you can get in at a good point here.
Good value for sure.
All right. Moving on to the next one. We've got William Gomis versus Joanderson Brito. All right. I like his tattoo here on the left back. I think that's a pretty cool one, actually. It looks like a Spartan of some sort.
William Gomis, just clean.
He's clean.
Yeah, and looking at me funny.
Hello, it's me.
So I know Brito. I think you're getting a good price for Brito here relative to most markets. I think he's like more than a 3-1 favorite at this point.
Yeah, 3-5.
Cool. But Gomis is a really good fighter. He's 5-0. Brito on a 5-win streak. Gomis is mostly a points fighter in the UFC. Before the UFC, though, he was able to. Yeah, I mean, we'd seen him get subs, we've seen him get KOs, just outgrind people, but definitely more of a counter striker in the UFC. He'll snatch things up in scrambles pretty well. Muay Thai is decent on the feet, but low volume though. Lands less than 3 significant strikes a minute, and he's going up against Joanderson Brito, who is very fast, or I think it's Brito, who's very fast, very athletic, good grappler, tons of power. Pressure on top is really good when he gets you on the ground. Striking is super powerful, like I said, but not the most technical. He absolutely destroyed Chepe Mariscal and is 100% one of the most dangerous fighters in this weight class. So basically 2 guys with opposite styles here. I mean, there's always a chance that Brito gasses out a little bit after chasing that finish like a madman in the first round, but I do think he gets it done here. I just don't see a way in which he stops him. Like, his activity level during fights is so bad, and Brito is just so dangerous. I think he's going to be all over him, wrestling, grappling, maybe even in the striking department. Yeah, I think Brito by death, probably.
Yeah, especially on PS, I don't think you can take Gomis here. It's just not crazy of a discrepancy. I like the pressure, and I think you could get a significant KO bonus as well, potentially from Brito as well, especially given the price discrepancy. It's not crazy. He should rise a fair amount after this fight. So definitely on that side with you.
Seems like a sneaky good prediction strike investment that you can kind of just like sort of sit back and watch.
This is a weird one. I feel like you usually get I guess there's just not enough French fighters to give them all favorable matchups, but it feels like you usually get more of the French fighters on the heavy favorite side, which I guess you've seen earlier on in the card, but 2 straight underdogs here is not ideal, but this one I'm in agreement with you fully.
Yeah, UFC stays feeding these French guys.
They said, feed me more. Anyways. All right. Imavov versus Brendan Allen. If I remember correctly, Brendan Allen's a big submission-based guy, right?
He puts it together pretty well, I'd say.
Okay.
This is a potential tough spot on PS for us.
This one,
I like Imavov a lot in this fight. especially given that price discrepancy. You can see him elsewhere at a little over 2-1 favorite. This feels like a great spot. I mean, I don't think he's like a guaranteed winner here, but definitely my pick with a decent amount of confidence. I thought he looked good against Cannonier, ended up finishing that fight when it seemed like it might kind of drag on and get to a decision. And he looked good against Delidze. I thought that fight was a little less close than I think some of the judges scored it. It ended up as a majority decision. Yeah, his most recent loss coming to Sean Strickland, which obviously has aged well. That's a tough fight. And I think he's pretty well-rounded in all ways. I think this fight could end inside the distance, but my probably first lean will be a decision. But I think he could get a sub here. He could catch Brendan Allen lacking a little bit as well and kind of push the pace as well. So I think he has a variety of ways that he could win this fight, and I'm going to trust the versatility a little.
Don't let him catch you lacking, fam.
Yeah, this is a hard one, really tough one for me. So preface whatever I say with like I'm 100% investing in Imavov on PredictionStrike. That's what you got to do here. That is the play. But I'm not like 100% convinced. I don't know. Allen is just one of those guys that like I love Imavov. I think though that he's just like stylistically not the busiest guy. He doesn't really fight for minutes, you know, he gives up minutes all the time, and that's something that Brendan Allen doesn't really do. And like I said, like Brendan Allen used to not be able to put together the takedowns and the wrestling with the striking. Like he'd go in, you know, get completely dominated in the wrestling, but win in the striking department. And in his last few fights, we've seen him be able to put that together. This fight matters a lot for the division. And I still think Brendan Allen is a good prospect. I think he could definitely win this fight. High fight IQ. I think Imavov is probably slightly better than Brendan Allen. But Brendan Allen keeps improving, like I said. He has a good chin. He's been smoking everybody. Super high fight IQ. So this is going to be a great fight. I'm saying invest in Imavov on PredictionStrike no matter what. But yeah, I'm not touching this anywhere else. Just a great fight.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. All right, on to our next one here. We got Renato Moicano versus Benoit Saint Denis. All right. Well, I'm not a big Benoit Saint Denis guy. I've been for a while. I like him. I'm just going to write on that. Now let's give me the actual analysis of what we need to know here.
So decent value, I would say, for BSD here. He's like almost a 3-1 favorite, less than $1 cheaper than. Whoa! I just realized I have the names on opposite sides.
Are the prices right?
Yeah, the prices.
So is that Moicano's price on the left?
Yeah. Wait, no.
Okay.
Prices are correct. The only thing that's
over the
just
photos.
The names,
yeah, just the names. Yeah, photos.
Okay, I see.
Stats are correct too.
But yeah, that's as good a value as you're going to find in this fight. BSD clearly a dog, capable of handling his business in pretty much all areas. That Poirier fight, I mean, he didn't look great, but it feels like based on the rest of his career, that could have been more of a fluke than anything. I think he will continue to work his way up this division and kind of just wasn't ready for that test with a dude with as much experience and like championship experience as Dustin Poirier. But this feels like a spot where he gets back in the win column, starts building up that profile a little bit with another quality win here, and will start flying back up the leaderboards in this division. He's a guy that I think is here for the long haul. I don't think the Poirier fight was a once-in-a-career thing where he goes up and is kind of outclassed and remains in the kind of 10 to 15 area of ranked in this division. I think he wins this fight, finds his way back in the top 10, and then we'll keep climbing after that. I'm a big BSD fan.
Yeah. At UFC 300, we saw Jalen Turner drop Renato really bad and then start celebrating. Basically lost him the fight. Renato came back and finished him on the ground. And BSD is just all gas, no brakes, crazy pressure, strong wrestling. Will just absolutely bomb away on your face if he ends up on top of you on the ground. Good top pressure. Is kind of he's not the most technical guy. He is kind of sloppy sometimes, and maybe doesn't have the best cardio in the world, but he just is always coming forward, is relentless, and is like the toughest guy ever. Coming off the loss to Dustin, where he was, you know, he was clapping him pretty much, ate a big shot in the second round. And Hanato is tough, doesn't quit either. I personally don't think his chin is strong enough for BSD or has anything for him really on the feet. I don't think Hanato is really the most dangerous guy at all. So my guess is probably the majority of folks' guess in that BSD comes in and gets an early knockout.
Makes sense. Yeah. I'm going to take the submission because I'm a crazy bastard. But that's about it for me. Grant, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, BSD all the way.
All right. Well, that's about it for this one. Hopefully that was helpful. We like to think it was. Hopefully, yeah, you found some good plays. I know DWCF should have treated you last night. Jackson and I were going back and forth the other night on how Exacto was working. And we, of course, were upset about our guy Danilo not getting it through for us. But it's what it is. Next time we'll get a little luckier. But
yeah.
And I'm down for a little wager on that fight that we talked about. We can hash it out, but we should put something on the line. Get back in those ways.
That I'm down. I'm super down. I'm down for that one. I'm big on Matt Frivola. It's my boy.
All right, let's do it.
Excited to see how that one turns out. As always, subscribe. That helps us out a lot. Makes the channel grow. Make sure to like if you've got to this point as well. But yeah, until next time, hope you all have a great day. And yeah, peace out.